Did we do it? What's up, everybody? It's Justin. Welcome to Live Ask Me Anything number 56. That's crazy. 56 weeks. Okay, cool. This is the third AMA from Chiang Mai, Thailand. I'm now back in Chiang Mai, rocking my Eat Whole Foods, Change the World 3/4 sleeve, available at iamclovis.com. Go check it out, everybody. You'll love it. So what's up? How you guys doing? It's been an amazing week. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I drank a bunch of coffee this morning and took a bunch of Siltep, which I love, great product, because travel's catching up with me, man. It's really catching up with me, and a lot of different things that I'm just not used to. I don't feel like myself right now. Like, really woke up this morning. For some reason, I was in bed for like 8 hours last night. Thanks to my little Oura ring over here, it told me that only 5 hours of that time was actually spent asleep. So that's a real bummer, everybody. Gonna be a tough day. You know, just got to get through this one and hope that my brain is sharp enough to teach you about a very important topic, and that is oils and fats and fatty acids and trans fats. Fat. Always talking about fat here at Clovis, right? It's important. Okay, so going to try to get through this thing to the best of my ability, get through this thing to the best of my ability. My brain may not be sharp. We'll see how this goes. Hoping for the best. I'm hoping that my Justin 70% is like most people's 100%. Let's hope that is the case, okay? Let's do this. Tabitha, I have a headache, so I'm going to bed, but love you, Justin. Love you, fam. Love you too, Tabitha. Go get some sleep. Take a salt shot. Faux show. Take a salt shot. If you have some potassium and magnesium on hand, that would also be wonderful. I highly, highly recommend it. Do that. You may feel better. Also, turmeric would be a great idea right now to reduce some inflammation. It's as powerful as ibuprofen for headaches in high doses. So check that out. What's up, everybody? Hey, Justin. Hey, Laura. Hey, Cassie. Hey, Jackie, Krista, Judy, Liz. What's up, everybody? You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. It's crazy. I feel like I'm like, thank you guys so much for coming here early in the morning. I really appreciate it. And I forget that it's not early morning over there. It's quite late for you. 8 p.m. Central, live. Ask me anything. Okay, sorry. I'm procrastinating here. I suppose we should get into an episode where I talk about stuff. First things first, I'm going to give you a little background of why this episode has happened, okay? It's happened because, as you guys know, most of you are following along with my journey in Chiang Mai. So I've been super active on Instagram. Every day at the end of the day, I just upload all of what I did that day to my Instagram stories, put a couple posts up as actual in my news feed for Instagram, so you guys can see what I'm doing out here. It's been a whole lot of adventure, a whole lot of exploring, a whole lot of exotic foods, and lots of crazy stuff going on. Really, really wonderful. Like, life is grand. I just could not be happier about the time I just spent in Pai. Pai was beautiful. I posted, I think, the most beautiful sunset I've ever seen. There were some exciting smoothie drinks out there, we'll call them. They're called special smoothies because mushrooms are medicinal and they're really good for you. So yeah, and that was fun. So anyway, Pai was beautiful, and it spawned this kind of conversation because since I put those posts up, those Instagram stories go to Instagram and they go to my Facebook story. So a lot of people are sending me messages because I've been talking a lot about caloric deficit, like what I've been doing to make sure that all my muscles don't go away. I've been at a chronic caloric deficit, like a heavy caloric deficit. And the Oura ring tells me that, which is beautiful. My caloric burn is somewhere between 900 and 1200 calories a day just from activity. So that's stacked on top of BMR, TEFF, all these things, TEF, sorry, total energy expenditure. So my caloric burn is off the charts. It's like 3,000 to 3,500 calories a day just being burned. And I'm probably taking in like 1,200 to 1,400 calories, like risk of micronutrient deficiency. That's why I travel with all those supplements that I do, why I did travel tips from Thailand and showed you guys all the immune boosting supplements that I take and all that, because I know what's going on here. I know too much. You know, sometimes it's a gift and a curse to know this much about nutrition in the human body. And I wake up in the morning, I know exactly what kind of day it's going to be. I'm so in tune with my body. I'm like this morning was like, oh boy, this is going to be a tough one, right? 5 hours of sleep is not good for anybody. So I won't be doing anything like jujitsu or anything like that today. I actually have a rebirthing breath work class today, which is like holotropic breathing, and some acupuncture. So that's really cool. I've been able to do these kinds of things, like an acupuncture treatment's $20 out here. I got one of the best massages of my life yesterday for an hour. It was $9 US. It was unbelievable. So anyway, how did this come about? So people started talking about this caloric deficit. Well, Justin, why are you living at a caloric deficit when food is so cheap in Thailand? And that actually goes hand in hand. Food being so cheap in Thailand is part of the reason why I am comfortable living at a caloric deficit. Living at a caloric deficit is a better idea for me right now than the alternative, which I'm going to talk through with you. So the reason I'm doing this episode is because I want to talk specifically about oils, fatty acids from oils. Here's the issue in Thailand. Thailand is very, very close, and at one point probably was absurdly healthy prior to like the 1980s, I would say, maybe the 1990s. And people talk about centenarians. I put a post about this the other day. Centenarians, the Okinawans in Japan, all these Asian people that have a high population of people who live to be over 100 years old. That's the definition of a centenarian, right? So the issue with that is it's just like all nutrition science and medical and government and all this. We're 17 to 30 years behind the cutting edge data, right? So what's happening now in Asia that I see walking around here is thin grandparents, somewhat thin to lean adults, middle ages, and fat little kids. It's just like America, but the adults are all fat in America. We're a generation ahead of them, So what's happening is we have these 5-year-olds that are obese. They're morbidly obese at 5 years old. There's little Asian kids running around. They're cute as shit, but they're going to die young, and that's sad, right? So you got all these little fat Asian kids running around. Why? Well, because the Western diet has been introduced to Asia, refined processed carbohydrates and industrial seed oils, industrial vegetable oils, partially hydrogenated oils. These things are very cheap. They're easy to manufacture by the ton, literally, and they have just flooded the Asian market. There is nothing I've gotten here in Asia without sugar, without me specifically saying, do not put sugar in this. They put sugar in everything. They use vegetable oil on everything. And I mean, they coat it on with paintbrushes. I'm not kidding. It's wonderful. I can go to a market and pay 15 cents and get chicken hearts, probably one of the most nutrient dense foods on planet Earth. And they're grilled right there over an open flame. Wonderful, right? Except the entire time they're grilling on an open flame, they're dipping a paintbrush in canola oil and caking canola oil every time they flip the meat. So now I'm getting a mouthful of canola oil, right? And with the language barrier, it's next to impossible for me to tell these people, don't do oil, just grill the meat. They don't know how that works. They're used to doing the oil and then putting the seasoning on it. That's how they do things. And you're in the middle of a street market with thousands of people around. It's very difficult. Now, in restaurants, the same thing. If you get pad thai or something like that, it's in a big wok. And the first thing they do is pour, not sprinkle. They pour canola oil into this wok. These are damaged, rancid, oxidized, hydrogenated oils that will literally kill you in just about every way imaginable. That is why I am willing to live at a caloric deficit right now. I'm simply not going to eat a caloric surplus of these types of foods. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. So, I'm willing, when I get back home, I'll probably do a mass gains protocol. But I have learned from this alone, because this is permeated even into little mom and pop villages, right? I went into villages yesterday. These people, they're in the middle of nowhere. They're in the jungle, in the mountains, and they have canola oil and they have sugar and they're putting it on everything. It's ridiculous. Like, what are we doing, everybody? So mark my words, we are one generation or less from the same obesity epidemic that we see in America throughout all of Asia. It's going to permeate all of Asia. And the sad thing is, some people are coming around to the sugar stuff and toxic oils in America. Maybe less than 5% of the population actually gives a shit or knows what's going on. In Asia, it's going to be even worse. They're going to be 20 to 30 years behind us, and the damage will already be done, just like it was done in the States. Chronic disease is no longer a thing of the past. Well, not even never of the past. It was never a thing in Asia. It is now. Guaranteed. Chronic disease is going to run rampant in Asia. Super sad. It's really been bumming me out to watch. I can't stay in Thailand long term. There's no way, just because of this. Because grocery shopping and cooking for yourself is so inconvenient. Eating out is a nightmare, just because you're going to be getting these toxic oils in your life. And I can manage that for a few weeks, but I just can't. I know too much. I know too much. I literally lose sleep, just like, oh my God, I ate oil today. Right? It's that bad. So let's talk about it. This is what brings this episode to be, is I'm just not willing to eat the same number of calories when everything is coated in canola oil, right? So let's talk about fats. You guys know that At Clovis, we're a huge fan of fats. It's most of your caloric intake, usually somewhere between 55 to 65% of your caloric intake, depending on you. Now, remember, I make custom plans for everybody. There are never blanket statements. So your fat intake is probably all different. If you guys were to have custom plans and compare your macronutrients, your fat ratio is going to be different depending on your goals. That's why I make custom plans for everybody. Now, one of the biggest hurdles for me with Clovis has always been, particularly with women, convincing them that eating all that fat is good for you, convincing them that dietary fat is actually a superfood. Why is it so difficult for me to convince them of that? Well, because the freaking US government and all your doctors have been telling you the opposite for over 40 years, okay? It's absolutely unbelievable. Hold on just a second, guys. Let's see here. Sorry. Little technical difficulty. I got to do something real quick to make sure that my podcast is still recording. Okay, there we go. Freeing up. My computer's going crazy on me, guys. I don't want to lose this feed. Hold on just a second. Okay, we're recording again. I'm going to try that again. So anyway, yeah, it's incredibly difficult because the government and the food pyramid and the doctors and everything have been telling you that eating fat is bad for you. Eating saturated fat is bad for you. Blah, 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 blah. Now, as a result, they've been telling us for 40 years, and Americans are dropping dead by the millions. Literally, I talk about this almost every week because I need it to sink in. Over 100 million Americans are pre-diabetic and diabetic. A full 88% of those don't even know that they're pre-diabetic or diabetic. Over 70% of the population is overweight. Over 50% of all adults have at least one chronic disease. Over 25% of all adults have more than one chronic disease. 27% of children have at least one chronic disease, and 1 in 45 kids is born on the autism spectrum. What are we doing, everybody? So a simple layman's way to put this is, if you do what the government tells you, you'll die. It's simply that simple. I don't even know how else to put it, you know, and I don't know if that has sunk in for everybody. Like, literally, if you took Dr. Evil from Austin Powers and had him sit down and make a master plan of how to take over the world, he couldn't come up with a better plan than the food pyramid for mass genocide. Literally, like, the most evil mind in the world couldn't come up. Like, the food pyramid is freaking Adolf Hitler's dream for eradicating people. Literally, that's how bad it is. It simply could not be worse. You cannot follow the food pyramid and have good health. You can't do it. It's absolutely impossible. And I talk about this in AMAs over and over and over, and I talk about fat a lot. Now, I'm going to jump into this real quick and just scan through this. I got some time. Let's hang out, everybody. So, my painful history with fats. Trans fats and the ketogenic diet are part of the reason that Clovis exists. I spent a long period of time, weeks and weeks, in nutritional ketosis, doing daily blood draws and learning as much as I could about fats and trans fats and monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats and saturated fats and keto and all this, right? Why? Because some of you who are new to the fold, I see some names in here that may not be familiar with this. My niece, Savannah, 4 years ago, about 4.5 years ago, was born terminally ill. She has a very rare condition called KCNQ2, of which she is one of 96 living cases in the world. She's 100% disabled, 100% vegetative is what they call it. She's fed through a feeding tube. She has outlived her life expectancy, which was supposed to be less than 3 years. So anyway, we spent months and months in the pediatric ICU, and I fucking hate talking about this. Okay, let's keep going, everybody. So in the pediatric ICU, I got to talk to a lot of these neurologists that were working with her. She was hooked up to all these machines. They did over $1 million worth of testing on her, trying to figure out what's going on before they could pinpoint KCNQ2. Now, she was having 300 plus seizures a day. The worst kind of seizures, called grand mal seizures or burst suppression seizures. So by default, I learned a lot about these things. So what happened was they introduced us to a foundation called the Charlie Foundation, and they treat children with epilepsy using the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet is a therapeutic modality. It can literally stop seizures in its tracks. Now, unfortunately, it did not work for Savannah, but they tried it, right? Now, what they did was put her on a formula called Keto-Cal baby formula. And I was already a nutritional therapist at the time, thankfully, and I knew about the dangers of oils and their impact on epigenetics and things like that. So the number one ingredient in Keto-Cal is refined vegetable oils. That's palm oil, soybean oil, and high oleic sunflower oil. They throw oleic in there because oleic is a healthful term that's found in olive oil, but when you've damaged the fat through chemical processing, it doesn't matter that there's oleic acid in there, right? It just really doesn't matter. Not to mention all the corn syrup solids that they add this to add insult to injury, right? So knowing what I knew, I was appalled. I'm sitting there going, these are the top neurologists in the world. Literally, that's who we were dealing with. And this child has a brain disorder, and they're feeding it trans fats, damaged hydrogenated oils that are notoriously bad for brain function. That makes a lot of sense, right? So that's part of the reason paleo powder exists. I decided to make a powder that was whole food based, that did not have all these bullshit hydrogenated oils in it. And long story short, it was manufactured sometime later and was cleared by the neurologist to be used in Savannah's feeding tube. It was one of the proudest moments of my life. So, we got through Savannah talk. Okay, here we go. Let's jump into the truth about fats, right? Fats have been villainized forever. Everybody just thinks that they're horrible for you. The truth is fat, cholesterol, yes, cholesterol, 80% of which is synthesized in your liver, not taken in through dietary fat. Cholesterol is required for every single function in every single cell in the entire human body. Without cholesterol, you die. Did you hear that, everybody? Without cholesterol, you die. Okay? Super important. And the brain is mostly fat. In fact, 90% of the brain is made up of the omega-3 fatty acid, DHA. So you get EPA and DHA from like wild-caught fish and things like that, omega-3 supplements. Literally 90% of your brain is made up of DHA. It's all fat, right? 50% of the membrane of every neuron in your brain is made up of DHA. Now, DHA is a polyunsaturated fat, right? This was very, very important. DHA can only be found in adequate amounts in animal fat. It's very, very important. You can't get enough of it from plants, okay? That's how important these fatty acids are. So the other thing that you have to remember with fats is I did an episode called, there's one called How Eating Fat Can Save Your Life. I think it's AMA 23, crap, I don't know. But How Eating Fat Can Save Your Life. Just go to clovis.show and type in eating fat and it'll pop up in the search bar. I also did one called Hormones, Finding the Balance. Well, you guys have to understand that all of your steroids are produced from cholesterol. Cholesterol is the precursor for all steroid hormones. Yes, gentlemen, that includes testosterone. Steroid hormones control metabolism, inflammation, salt and water balance, your electrolytes, development of sexual characteristics in literally forming children, and the ability to withstand physical injuries. These all have to do with fatty acids, cholesterol, precursors for your steroid hormones. And I talked about this in an earlier AMA, it got a lot of laughs, but I was talking about the fact that it is no coincidence that about 40 years ago, we switched to a low-fat diet, and then all of a sudden, something that had never existed before throughout all of human history became an epidemic. Gentlemen, erectile dysfunction. Out of nowhere, there's an epidemic of ED, which, by the way, erectile dysfunction is not a medical term. It was invented by a marketing company. Literally, it was a term that was invented and turned into a medical term. Even though it was invented by nobody with any medical expertise whatsoever, it was a marketing firm that created the term erectile dysfunction to sell a pill called Viagra. Erectile dysfunction is a completely made up thing. Look it up, look up the history of it. It's completely made up. Does it actually exist? Yes, of course it does. Why? Because we stopped eating fat, dummies. That's why. Now, in this particular episode, I think it was the Eat Fat, Get Healthy one, I cracked people up because I was like, dudes, if you have a hot date tomorrow, then tonight you need to eat a 12-ounce ribeye and 8 whole eggs and a handful of almonds and some Brazil nuts, and you're going to have a way better date tomorrow. You're welcome, right? Seriously, cholesterol is that powerful. In a matter of 24 hours, it can impact your testosterone levels that significantly, okay? Eat fat, boost testosterone, period. So let's talk about some of the other amazing facts about dietary fat. Dietary fat is a health food, period. Any dietary fat that exists in nature is a health food, okay? Eat whole foods, change the world. We talk about human foods versus non-human foods. The only fats that are bad for you do not exist in nature. They are man-freaking-made, okay? Understand that. The only fats that are bad for you are not found in nature. Okay? And the things that cause all the problems that we're thinking of, obesity, poor health, cancer, heart disease, and all that, sugar and refined carbs, not fatty acids, are responsible for these epidemics. Refined carbohydrates play a role in literally everything. everything that has inflammation at play, type 2 diabetes, cancer, heart disease, all these things. Dietary fat, on the other hand, literally improves the efficiency of your metabolism. I've talked about this in metabolism episodes, right? It's a far more efficient fuel than glucose. Fatty acids, molecule for molecule, can produce 7 times the ATP, the energy that your cells need to function, right? It's far more efficient. It's also incredibly satiating. You feel full when you eat fatty acids, unlike carbohydrates. So you actually end up eating less. Overeating is less of a problem if you are eating more healthy fats, not these garbage trans fats that we're going to get to. So dietary saturated fat is really what kicked this all off. People decided that saturated fat raised cholesterol. Now, this is true partly, but it lacks attention to detail. What do I always say? Details matter. Eating saturated fats does not raise saturated fats in your blood. Ingested saturated fats actually raise the good kind of LDL, the light, fluffy, big particles of LDL. Yes, there's a good kind of LDL, and raises HDL, the high density lipoproteins, right? The good cholesterol. So yes, saturated fat raises cholesterol, only the good kind, right? So this is why I hate lipid panels. Guys keep sending me their lipid panels. It drives me nuts, you guys. If you're a client of mine and you send me a lipid panel and there are no particle numbers, you will get no advice from me. And you guys have found this, and I think some of you have been frustrated. Well, my doctor ran a lipid panel, and here's what I have. Total cholesterol, total LDL, total HDL, and triglycerides. That's it. This tells me nothing. The only thing I can use there is triglycerides. Everything else is useless. You just did blood work for no reason. Literally no reason. If it doesn't have a particle count, it's a useless test. You need a full NMR lipid profile when you test your lipid panels. It's super, super important, okay? Now, dietary fat also reduces inflammation, improves brain function, and helps prevent dementia. Literally. Diets very high in fat and low in carbs, also known as ketogenic diets, and Clovis, can literally reverse type 2 diabetes completely with no medication, right? So excess carbohydrates, on the other hand, they stimulate your appetite. You're always hungry. You get more hunger cravings, and you store belly fat in particular, okay? Carbohydrates also turn on something called lipogenesis. I've talked about lipogenesis a little bit in the past, but here's what it is. Like I said, 80% of your cholesterol is synthesized in the liver. Most of the fat that you store is also synthesized in the liver. So what happens when you eat excess carbohydrates is you turn on lipogenesis. That's the creation of new fat. So when you hear the term lipogenesis, think fat creation, and then think of the term liposuction, right? Liposuction, sucking fat out of the body. Liposuction, lipogenesis. Genesis, like in the Bible, creation, creating fat. Lipogenesis is creating fat. This happens in the liver. The liver starts to spit out triglycerides. It attaches fatty acids to glycerol molecules. It also creates small, dense LDL or VLDL, which is very dangerous and associated with heart disease risk, right? So the liver is constantly making fatty acids, and it's making them from carbohydrates. You have to know that. Okay, so if fat, we've already concluded that fat is a superfood, is a health food, right? So what's the problem? There's a good way to sum this up, and I'm gonna have to teach you about the different types of fats and get into all that stuff, right? So the human body, as you guys know from the metabolism course that I've done, is that the human body is made up of amino acids. Amino acids are like Legos. Piece them together to make proteins, piece those together to make cells. So all the tissues in your body are made up of cells. An easy way to think about this is the quality of your cells is directly correlated with the quality of the fats you ingest. Why do I say that? Because your cell membranes are literally made of fatty acids. Your cell membranes are made of fat. And like we talked about when we talked about the brain, 50% of all of your membranes of your neurons are made of dietary fat. So you need to give the body really solid building blocks, really healthy fatty acids to build fully functioning cells. So this idea that you can eat these false fats, these frankenfats that we're going to talk about, you're literally building your cells out of something that doesn't exist in nature. Not a good idea. It's like an autoimmune response. When an undigested protein gets into the bloodstream, it might look like healthy tissue. So the body does an autoimmune attack. It attacks itself. Can't tell the difference between the bad guys and the good guys. Well, your body can't tell the difference between fatty acids. If you put fatty acids in it, it goes, oh, look, there's a fatty acid. Let me use it for what fatty acids are used for. We literally trick the body into killing itself. Seems intelligent, right? Now, this saturated fat idea just won't go away. Now, in some circles, People are realizing that saturated fat is healthy in coconut oil, grass-fed butter, grass-fed beef, all these things. But the damage has already been done. So due to all this bad science as a country, we just adopted this idea blindly that saturated fat was to be avoided at all costs. This opened the door for exactly what we're talking about today, and that is polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats. Margarine became insanely popular and still is to this day. People buy it by the tub without even thinking about it. People send me pictures of the margarine that they have in their fridge because it says USDA organic and says made with olive oil, and they think it's good for them, right? And I get that. They've been sold lies and marketing gimmicks. So we think the term vegetable oil is a healthy marketing slogan. But the truth is these quote unquote good vegetable oils, this is like soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, rapeseed oil, blah, 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 all these things. They're harmful, okay? They create inflammation and oxidize, and they literally make your cholesterol rancid. Like these are rancid oils, toxic, rancid, oxidized oils. Cut open an apple, right? It oxidizes. It goes bad, turns brown and rots. That's literally what oxidation is. When you oxidize these oils, oxidized cholesterols, it literally causes heart disease, okay? So these oils, these trans fats, we're gonna get there, are processed at high heats. They're literally rancid, oxidized, and toxic to the human body. So these artificial fatty acids, like we know, they do not exist in nature. You can't get them in nature. You just can't, right? So they look like healthy saturated fats to the body. So the body grabs them and uses them, like I just talked about. This is creating cell membranes using artificial fats created by man using chemical processing. Your cells are made of chemicals, processed chemicals. It's horrific. So in layman's terms, it creates cells out of something that doesn't exist in nature and has never been a part of the human diet for the last 2.5 million years. What could possibly go wrong? Now, I'm going to touch on something real quick, and I just added this to my notes prior to jumping on here, and I want to be clear. This is my personal opinion, okay? So I don't want you to get mad at me, but it's my personal opinion. That's it. So don't shoot the messenger here. This is based on my own research and conclusions that I have drawn from my body of knowledge that I have consumed and the literature I've consumed. There are some estimations saying that by the year 2045 or even earlier, a full 50% of babies in America will be born on the autism spectrum. That's 1 in 2 children will be born autistic. Now, we get obsessed with pregnant women. We get obsessed with macronutrient ratios and calories and prenatal supplements and vitamins and B vitamins and methylfolate and all these things, right? Et cetera, et cetera. But we never stop. Let's stop and think for a second. This is a fetus developing inside of a mother. Now, I want to repeat what I repeated at the beginning of this episode. The brain is mostly fat. 90% of the brain is made up of the essential omega-3 fatty acid, DHA. What do you think your baby's brain needs to develop? Could it be DHA? Maybe. 50% of the membranes of every single neuron in that baby's brain will be made of DHA. The neurons will be put together using DHA. Now, it is my personal belief that the abundance of trans fats in the American diet are having horrific consequences on developing fetuses. Everyone gets obsessed with, how much weight am I going to gain during the pregnancy? Micronutrients for the baby, blah, blah, blah. That's all good stuff to worry about. But if you're not thinking about these trans fats, you got another thing coming. And I'm going to talk about what they're hidden in by the end of this episode. By the end of the episode, you're going to know exactly how to avoid trans fats. So like I said, the human body is going to take these damaged fatty acids and create cells out of them. It's going to create your developing fetus's cells out of artificial trans fats. These cell membranes are hardened, which impacts all the cell receptors. Remember in the hormone episode, we talk about signaling and receptors. All your cells have receptors. This blunts the receptors. They can't receive signals. It also disrupts all the neurons firing because 50% of your neuron membranes are made of DHA fatty acids. So these hardened cells prevent proper neuron signaling. This is all brain function. So damaged fats literally impact brain development and function for these babies. It's just something to think about. I don't know why more people don't think about this. It's unbelievable. So oil from pig fat is good. Yes, absolutely. But we've come away from that, John. That's a natural saturated fat found in nature. Yes, 100%. Okay, so let's jump into types of fats, right? I don't know if I've ever run you guys through this. I think it's really important so we can talk about these trans fats. All a fatty acid is, when you get nerdy here for a second, a fatty acid is just a chain of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen atoms, right? Chemistry, fancy. So it also has a carboxyl group on the end of it, which is literally just more carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. These fatty acids are classified by how many carbon atoms and how many double bonds within the molecule. That's it. So we have a monounsaturated fat, mono meaning single. That means there's one double bond between two carbons, right? So this just means there's a single double bond between two carbons, monounsaturated. These in a refrigerator will harden at room temperature. They'll be soft. And then you have polyunsaturated fats. Poly, think of the Mormons, everybody. Polygamy. Poly meaning multiple. There are multiple double bonds. And the most well-known polyunsaturated fats are these omega-3 fatty acids, EPA, DHA, ALA, all these things, right? So you have a polyunsaturated fat, and then you have a saturated fat. A saturated fat has 0 double bonds. Polyunsaturated fats, they'll always be liquid. They're just going to be liquid, right? Saturated fats are almost always a solid until you were to heat them up in a microwave or throw them in a pan or something. But at room temperature, they're solid. That's a saturated fat, has more hydrogen, right? So trans fats, the fourth type of fat, we'll say, there's really only 3 fats. There is one natural trans fat inside of grass-fed beef, but it's actually helpful. So that's where this gets even trickier, because there are some saturated fats that are bad and some that are good. There are some polyunsaturated fats that are bad and some that are good. There are some trans fats, one trans fat that's found in meat that can be good. It's like blah, 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 and on and on and on, right? Now, generally speaking, trans fats are these funny shaped fats. They're not normal. They're not natural. They are never found as part of normal human biology. They simply aren't. The double bonds are on the opposite side of the fat chain. Now, this is not a political correct term right now, but trans. Think about it, like other end, reverse, right? Trans. This is a trans fat. So these double bonds are on the opposite end of that chain of fatty acid than where they are usually found in nature, naturally occurring fats, right? So it's kind of like I don't know how to say it. It's like a deformed fat, literally a deformed fat. Your body doesn't like them at all. Doesn't want to use them, but it doesn't know any better when you shove it in your pie hole, right? So to complicate matters more, the chemical structure of the double bonds found in polyunsaturated fats are unstable when they come in contact with a number of elements like light, heat, oxygen for oxidization. This makes them more likely to become damaged and toxic. So you can take these healthy fats and make them toxic through processing. And that's where we're going to get into this trans fat things. It's very easy to take normally healthy fats and basically turn them into oxidized fats that are bad for you. This is why you would never want to take polyunsaturated fats like omega-3s and cook with them at high heats, right? But tons of people take polyunsaturated fats, vegetable oils all the time and cook with them at very high heats, and they fry things in them and all this stuff that they're taking normally healthy food items and making them toxic. These polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats even are much better if you're going to use an oil to be like drizzled on food, like an avocado oil being drizzled on a salad, or olive oil being drizzled on a salad, right? These mono and poly fats, just drizzle them. You don't have to cook with them. You don't have to, right? Be better off cooking with like a grass-fed butter. Now, avocado oil is pretty stable. It's a monounsaturated fat. That's pretty stable for cooking. It has a really high smoke point. It's hard to damage, okay? But all in all, you're better off getting these monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats from whole foods, with a few exceptions. Like really, really, really well done, really high quality olive oil is great. Really high quality avocado oil is great. But we're going to talk about how those aren't always great because of hidden reasons that we're going to get into, right? So you're better off like eating avocados, eating pecans, eating omega-3s from wild caught fish, right? Nuts and seeds, all these things, olives. You're better off getting these things from whole foods. Eat whole foods, change the world, right? Duh. We've been talking about this for over a year now. Now that we get some of this science out of the way, okay? So we're talking about carbon atoms and oxygen and hydrogen chains and double bonds and all these things, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about how these unnatural DHA, Carla, is an omega-3. So if you were looking at an omega-3 supplement, you'd see EPA, DHA. There's one other form of omega-3 that's ALA, that's the alpha-linoleic acid, and that is from plants, but it's very not bioavailable. So you can take in all the ALA you want, and your body will convert maybe 2 to 4% of it into the essential omega-3s. The essential omega-3s are EPA and DHA. So if you look at an omega-3 supplement, you want to spin it around and look at the back, look at the amount of EPA and DHA. I take 4 grams of omega-3s every single day. Some people consider that a high dose. I don't think it is a high dose, but that is what I do, right? Is coconut oil good? I eat it by the spoonful. Well, that depends, Lazaro, because if you're not tracking macronutrients and you're taking in too much energy, eating coconut oil by the spoonful, I would not say that that is a good idea, No. Particularly if your goal is fat loss. If you're lean and you're not worried about body fat, then taking in that extra energy might not be a bad thing. But if you're eating it literally by the spoonful, I probably would not recommend that. You can use a tablespoon here and there for cooking, or a bulletproof coffee or something like that. But I wouldn't just eat it by the spoonful. No. Okay, so let's jump back into how these oils are created. So we're going to start with probably the most prominent hydrogenated oil on earth right now, which is canola oil. Okay, and this is what got me going here in Chiang Mai. Every single little food truck, everything I've been to, every single restaurant, canola oil, canola oil, canola oil. Even at the local markets where the locals do their grocery shopping, you cannot get olive oil. You cannot get olive oil. You cannot get avocado oil, nothing. It is only hydrogenated vegetable oils. That's all you can get in clear plastic bottles, so you know they are rancid. You never want to buy any oil in a clear bottle. If you're doing that, stop it immediately, right? Even light exposure can make these things rancid and oxidize them. So probably the most common cooking oil on earth is canola oil. I assure you, virtually every single restaurant that you ever sit down in cooks your food in canola oil. I assure you, even fancy Italian restaurants. Next time you're at one, ask the server to ask the chef if they cook with olive oil. They will probably say, oh yes, we cook with a house-made olive oil blend. If they use the word blend, this means it's mostly canola oil with a little bit of low-quality olive oil thrown in there for good measure, right? It's astronomically cheaper to use these waste products. These oils are waste products of the agriculture industry, right? So even most store-bought extra virgin olive oil will have some canola oil in it. Now, canola oil is also an interchangeable term with rapeseed oil. You're probably familiar with rapeseed oil. It's just canola oil. It's an interchangeable term. So you might have olive oil and you check the ingredients and it has rapeseed oil in it as well. Now, when places don't use these oils, like for instance, one of my favorite restaurants in Austin, Texas is called Picnic. If you go to Picnic, they tell you about it right on their menu. It says, we use avocado oil to cook all of our dishes. By the way, it costs us 300% more to use avocado oil than it does to use canola oil, which is what most restaurants use. They're making a moral and ethical decision to serve you avocado oil, even though it costs them 300% more. And when you look at things like that, their prices are actually pretty damn good considering that they're doing that. They're crushing their profit margins. They can have a 300% higher profit margin by using canola oil, and they use avocado oil. So let's talk about canola oil. The Weston A. Price Foundation has this article called The Great Con-Ola, as in con, C-O-N, con job, right? So this Great Con-Ola article explains how Americans were duped into buying this poisonous, toxic chemical by the ton. And it says, quote, like all modern vegetable oils, canola oil goes through the process of caustic refining, bleaching, and degumming, all of which involve high temperatures of chemicals of questionable safety. Also, because canola oil is high in omega-3s, which can easily become rancid and foul-smelling when subjected to oxygen and high temperatures, it must be deodorized. End quote. Okay, so processing with high temperatures, chemicals of questionable safety that easily become rancid and foul-smelling and then need to be deodorized. And this is used in virtually every single cooking method in every single restaurant globally. What the fuck? Wow, right? Let's pick out some of those key words. Caustic. The definition of caustic is able to burn or corrode organic tissue by chemical action. Sounds lovely. Bleaching. Whitening by a chemical process. Chemicals, obviously, we don't want chemicals of questionable safety. And then rancid. Something being rancid literally means smelling or tasting unpleasant as a result of being old or stale. Delicious. The deck is just stacked, right? Vegetable oils are absolutely fantastic for us. This is crazy, everybody. This is absolutely insane. Now, if you remember, I did a whole episode on baby formula. And I talked about Savannah and her baby formula. Literally every baby formula on the market that is a top-selling brand has hydrogenated vegetable oils in it. Think about that. One more person tries to debate me on formula versus breast milk. I swear to God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's natural selection at this point. You can't be that stupid. You simply can't. It should be unacceptable to be that stupid. I don't know what to tell you. Literally, it's just ridiculous. I'm so tired of having these same conversations with people, right? Now, just like refined processed carbohydrates, a non-human food, again, eat whole foods, change the world. A non-human food has become a staple all across the world, all across the globe. I'm looking at it here now in Chiang Mai. It's making me sick. How did this happen? Let's talk about it. Trans fats were first created, they're credited with being created in the 1980s, but it's been done for a long time. So in the 1980s, this idea of hydrogenation became popular. So that's literally adding hydrogen to vegetable oils to make them more solid for easier storage and transport. So they can store and transport similar to saturated fats, right? But this has been around a lot longer than the 1980s. So in the 1900s, there was literally an abundance of soy and a shortage of butter from cows, right? So there was a shortage of butter and all this soy, and they couldn't figure out what to do with all these byproducts of soy. So margarine was created. Margarine from soybean oil, which spawned a whole new multi-billion-dollar market over the next 150 years, created an absolute craze, right? What are we at now? So 120 years this stuff has been around, taking soybean oil and creating margarine out of it to replace butter. Now, what's a good way to do that? Well, convince people that saturated fat raises your cholesterol and will kill you, and then get them to replace their healthy saturated fats with these hydrogenated vegetable oils. Again, marketing. Just like sugar. If you haven't read The Case Against Sugar by Gary Taubes, you have to. You have to understand how these things work, right? We're not given dietary advice by governments and doctors and experts. We're given it by marketing companies that spend billions. Even in the mid 1940s and 50s, they were spending millions of dollars a year pushing sugar on people, right? It's unbelievable. Falsified studies and all this stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. Same thing with these vegetable oil companies, right? Now, by the 1960s, these new, we'll call them Franken fats, right? These man-made fats had virtually replaced all saturated fats in the household. Now you're talking about cooking sprays and margarine and crock pot, big tubs of margarine, blah, 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 because all the health experts were saying that saturated fat was bad for you and that these vegetable oils must be healthy because they're not saturated, right? Unbelievable. Now, however, by 1988, 2 years after I was born, this 30 years ago, there was already studies finding that trans fats could be a major cause of heart disease. In 1988, they knew this, a major cause of heart disease. By 1994, it was stated that over 30,000 deaths annually were tied to the consumption of trans fats. 30,000 deaths directly tied to trans fats. However, even with all this mounting evidence, because of the ridiculous marketing gimmicks and schemes, it took until 2006 to pass a law that banned trans fats from products in grocery stores. And there's a caveat there. A lot of you think that trans fats were banned from grocery stores. Yes, technically they were, but they had a certain amount of time. I think they have to like 2015 or something insane to get these things out of their products. And then there's the caveat of even a product labeled trans fat free can still contain 0.5 grams of trans fat per serving, and they don't have to list it on the label. They can literally say this is a trans fat free food when you're getting 0.5 gram of trans fat in every single serving. It's unbelievable. This is nuts. Okay, there's some comments going in. Let me take a look real quick. Avocado oil, ghee, grass-fed butter, coconut oil, olive oil, walnut oil, lard, all in my kitchen. Awesome. That's great. Breast is best. Yes, absolutely. No crap oil in my house. Read the labels. Sophia would like to know MCT oil fasted. Yeah, sure. Doesn't technically, I guess it technically breaks a fast, but MCT oil is not stored. So less than 0.5% of the dose of MCT oil that you take can actually be stored as energy. These things just aren't stored. They're basically exogenous ketones. Now, if your goal is to lose body fat, you don't want to overdo it with MCT oil because, again, we have basically two macronutrients. We have protein and energy. MCT oil is energy. The more MCT oil you're putting in your system, the less adipose tissue you're going to burn because you're giving it a new fuel source. You want it to tap into your stored body fat, right? Now, MCT oil is a great way if you're going through detox and just learning how to burn fat and going through your sugar detox and all that. It will help tremendously because it works like an exogenous ketone. It can help teach the body how to burn fat for fuel in the beginning. But like someone like me, I very rarely supplement MCT oil while I'm fasting. I love MCT oil. I do probably a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons a day, but I rarely do it while I'm fasting because I really want the autophagy benefits, which you can still get even with MCT. MCT oil won't stunt autophagy because the only thing that stunts autophagy is protein. But most people aren't fasting long enough to experience autophagy anyway. You're talking between 18 to 24 hours, which most people don't do on a regular basis. Anyway, yeah, MCT oil is fantastic. It's great for you. What else we got? Do you have recommendations for alternatives to name brand formulas? Nope, literally none. If you go to iamclovis.com and go to the blog, I give you a recipe for homemade baby formula from the Weston A. Price Foundation. Boggles my mind that more parents don't do this. Literally, I don't want to be mean about it, but I have shared that baby formula recipe with so many people and literally next to none of them do it. Why? Because it takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. I can't wrap my brain around that. I just can't wrap my brain around that. It's unbelievable. Okay, Jennifer, what is your take on sugar? Can it be okay in moderation? No, absolutely not. There is no reason for you to not trust stevia and go with sugar. That's just crazy. No. So whatever you're reading about that is factually incorrect. Stevia, some people say that it can cause a problem. You would have to take such mega doses of stevia for it to cause a problem. You're really not looking at anything dangerous. Sugar is horrific. It's just about the worst thing on planet Earth, and that includes fructose found in fruit, right? There is just simply no benefit to ingesting sugar. There's benefit to ingesting complex carbohydrates, which contain sugar, leafy green vegetables, even sweet potatoes, or getting net carbs from things like avocados, right? All carbohydrates eventually turn into glucose in the body. So you should watch my episode on the basics of human metabolism to learn about this. But the idea of moderation and sugar, it's an oxymoron. It shouldn't be a thing. We need to stop teaching people that moderation fixes anything when it comes to sugar intake. It's just simply not the case. So that's my stance on sugar. That's one of the single most harmful things. I mean, sugar and these hydrogenated oils, hand in hand, as bad as it gets. Unbelievable. So let's dig into why this episode is called Oil, the Hidden Assassin. Let me just show you what food products contain the highest levels of hydrogenated oils. Baked goods, especially crackers, cookies, cakes, snack foods like chips and your kid's precious fucking goldfish, microwave popcorn, frozen meals like pizza and TV dinners, Crisco, Pam spray, even if it says olive oil, fake butter spreads, margarine, your coffee creamer. I can't get over this freaking coffee creamer debate with keto people. I need my coffee creamer and it's all fat. It's good for me. No, it's chemicals, dummy. Stop it. Pre-made frostings, fast food, all loaded with trans fats. These hydrogenated vegetable oils, loaded, hidden in everything. I did another episode where I spelled out the ingredients of children's cereals. These sugary breakfast cereals, they all have hydrogenated oils in them. Even something that is solid, not a liquid, contains these hydrogenated oils, okay? So again, baked goods, crackers, cookies, cakes, snack foods, chips, microwave popcorn, frozen meals, pizza, TV dinners, Crisco, Pam spray, fake butter, margarine, spreads, coffee creamer, pre-made frostings, and fast food. That's funny. I didn't name a single Clovis approved foods. It's as if somebody has already done this research for you and removed all of the guesswork. It's as if somebody had said, hey, just follow along with the plan that I gave you and you'll consume 0 hydrogenated vegetable oils. It's literally like somebody did it for you. What are we doing, everybody? This is also why I tell you to be a label detective. Here's why you must be a label detective, because I'm going to give you a good example. Monounsaturated fats are super healthy, and they're found in avocados. So you have these dressings coming out on the back of people like Primal Kitchen who are doing it right, and you'll go to the normal grocery store and go to the salad dressing, and you'll see, oh, this avocado oil dressing says avocado oil right on it, and it's $3 cheaper than the Primal Kitchen. I'm going to get that one. Flip it over. The number one ingredient, I assure you, is a hydrogenated vegetable oil. Somewhere down the list of ingredients, there might be avocado oil, probably 0.5 gram of it per serving. The majority of these formulas are still hydrogenated vegetable oils, but they plaster the front cover with the marketing of avocado oil healthy dressing, right? It's ridiculous. You absolutely have to read ingredient labels. Hydrogenated oils are found in everything, okay? Now, let's talk about how bad they actually are. Let's see. I'm gonna get a couple comments. Honey, maple syrup, no, 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 no. Straight sugar, don't do it. Absolutely not. 16 grams of sugar per tablespoon. How have we gone all these years and just found stevia? That's not true at all. I don't know who told you that, but like if you walk around a traditional Chinese market or an Ayurvedic medicine market, you'll see stevia leaves everywhere. I mean, literally that people have been using them in teas for I don't even know how long. Just because you just heard of it from marketing or it's in products now or it's super popular now doesn't mean it hasn't been along. Stevia is literally a plant that exists in nature, right? I don't know if you know that. Stevia comes from a plant that exists in nature. So that's an inaccurate statement. You're the man. Thanks for the knowledge. Joshua, you're very welcome. Go check that out. Go to iamclovis.com. Just search baby formula. If you have trouble finding it, dude, always just email me, justin@iamclovis.com, and I'll hit you up with the baby formula recipe. Precious effing goldfish. I can't get over goldfish. There's a way to get me to slap a parent real quick. It's these goddamn goldfish. I can't do it. I can't do it. Now they have whole grain, whole wheat goldfish. Are you kidding me? I'm going to armbar you. It's ridiculous. All right. So let's talk about how bad are they really? How bad are these trans fats really? Because I don't think people understand this. Let's chat about it. A study done at Harvard in 1993 demonstrated a strong link between partially hydrogenated oils and heart attack risk. The conclusion, quote, replacing just 2% of energy from trans fats with healthy unsaturated fat would decrease the risk of coronary heart disease by about 1/3. End quote. Decrease 2% of trans fat intake and decrease heart attack risk by 1/3? That's some pretty powerful shit, everybody. Pay attention, right? In other words, get the health benefits from monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats from whole foods, not processed oils. Eat whole foods, change the world. Eat whole foods, change the world. Say it over and over, right? A strong connection also exists between trans fats and body fat storage. Yes, you store more body fat. Listen to this. A study from Wake Forest University Baptist Medical Center found, quote, diets rich in trans fats cause a redistribution of fat tissue into the abdomen even when the total dietary calories are controlled. Layman's terms, eat the same number of calories, but include trans fats and you'll get fat. Ridiculous. Belly fat, particularly abdominal fat, visceral fat, that will kill you. The same study also demonstrated how trans fats lead to heart disease and diabetes. A strong link also exists between trans fats and cancer. Now, because most of you are women, 85% of my audience is women, let's talk about women specifically. A study done on trans fats and colon cancer showed that postmenopausal women had a 2-fold increase in the risk of developing colon cancer from high levels of trans fatty acids in the diet. Hydrogenated vegetable oils, everybody. Another study in the American Journal of Epidemiology showed that the risk of breast cancer was doubled in women having higher levels of trans fatty acids, serum trans fatty acids. These are trans fatty acids found in the blood via blood work. The more trans fatty acids found in your blood, you can double your risk of breast cancer from nothing, just trans fats. Double your risk of breast cancer. This is insane, everybody, right? This is absolutely wild. Now you guys know why I'm here in Chiang Mai and I'm really, really struggling. I'm really struggling. I couldn't even, I bought some coconut oil to cook with, which was a nightmare. It was like $10. And I paid out the ass for all the groceries I bought. It's impossible to cook here. The pots and pans suck. I go out to eat every single meal. There's one restaurant I found that doesn't cook in these oils, and the food is 3x more expensive than the other restaurants. So it's like I'd be paying American prices. It's just crazy. It's crazy. So I'm doing the best I can, but I can't stay here long term. I simply cannot put these oils in my body long term. That's why I'm practicing like 20 hours of fasting every single day. I'm fasting like crazy, hoping to get some benefits of autophagy where I can rebuild some of these cells that I'm literally damaging from these oxidized hydrogenated vegetable oils. It's really scary, everybody. So I've lost a ton of fat. I'm probably down 6 pounds since I've been here. Sure, I got some badass abs going. Like I just got shredded. You know, it's crazy. I just lost a ton of fat. I'm trying to keep muscle mass on by biohacking and doing a particular type of time under tension and some caloric refeeding at the place that does just once a week. I'm doing a massive meal and utilizing actually glucose, utilizing carbohydrates in a way that I would not recommend for you guys because I'm doing intense resistance training. But yeah, anyway, I don't want to get into that because I don't want you guys going out and eating glucose, right? But anyway, I know these things. I biohack, right? So I'm trying to do the best that I can out here. It's really tricky. So that's about it. That's what I wanted to touch on with all of these trans fats, hydrogenated oils, polyunsaturated fats, monounsaturated fats, saturated fats, all exist in nature. They're all healthy for you. These trans fats are not. Avoid them like the plague. I cannot recommend enough that you completely remove these, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Moderation is bullshit when it comes to something that can literally cause cancer and inflammation in your body, right? It's insane. So now that you know how awful these things are, guys, I want you guys to stop and think, right? So I went through all these foods that they come from, all the foods that they're hidden in. I guarantee you. Now, when I talk about Clovis being a finite versus an infinite game, it's an infinite game. You need to get healthier for the rest of your life. You need to adopt Clovis. You need to get a custom plan from me. If you haven't, I don't know what is wrong with you. Literally, a custom nutrition plan from me is $72. You sign up for the $27 a month membership and you get a custom plan from me for $47, right? Are you a crazy person? People pay $275 for a CrossFit gym. People pay $200 for a P90X DVD. People pay $25 a session for a fucking yoga class. What are we doing? I can literally change your life forever. Forever, right? That's it. It's crazy, you guys. I mean, there's no reason not to do it. And then take the infinite game. Take what I teach you. This is a teach a man to fish. It's not a meal plan. I'll give you a meal plan. I teach you how to relearn your relationship with food. And then you go from there. And I teach you to fish. Teach a man to fish. Feed them for life, right? That's what I'm doing with you. You learn these skills, you relearn what foods are made out of, because I guarantee you that by the time you get to Clovis, you were eating one or more of the foods that I mentioned with hydrogenated oils in them, at least weekly, if not daily, if not hourly. And that's how bad this is in America. You're probably eating those foods hourly. Got a sugar crash at work, better grab a granola bar. Got a sugar crash at work, better grab a donut or a whole wheat bagel. Hydrogenated oil. It's hidden in everything. Baked goods are loaded with them. What are we doing, guys? Sign up, get your approved foods list, and avoid hydrogenated oils for the rest of your life. You can be honest and admit you didn't know better. You didn't know better before you got here. Might not have known better. Most of you might not have known what a hydrogenated oil was before you came to this episode, right? I'm not trying to be a jerk either. It's just, guys, I get so upset about this stuff. I mean, we're poisoning each other. Literally. Humans poisoning humans. When you cook for your family with canola oil, you're poisoning them. When you take your family to a restaurant that loads the food up in canola oil, you're poisoning them. Or soybean oil, or rapeseed oil, or safflower oil, whatever. It's terrible, guys. Terrible. All right, hit me with some questions before we wrap this thing up. What do we got? Totally off topic. Is the Oura Ring waterproof? Yes, absolutely. I haven't even taken this thing off for this whole trip. It's fantastic. The only time that I take this Oura Ring off is for deadlifts. You're gonna make me sound like a jerk, but my deadlift is simply too heavy. It'd crack it right in half. Because just where the bar sits on a deadlift, I'd crack this ring in half with that kind of weight. But I can do pull-ups with it. I've boxed with it with a boxing glove on. I've been fine. Yeah, totally waterproof. I swim. I bathed with elephants in mud with this thing, and it's totally fine. I love this thing so much. Totally off topic. Okay, I just read that. Good shit, brother. Eat well, live well. 100%. Yes. Not crazy. I am Clovis. Absolutely. New peeps, he's not bullshitting you. Just FYI, Justin is life-changing. Yeah, Justin's also bad at selling. Let's just be honest here. It's like, and I struggle because there's a patience issue at play. I will give people a plan and they're just like, where's my meal plan? Why don't you tell me what to eat every hour? Because then you don't learn anything. And then you're going to roller coaster. I'm not going to do that for you. I will teach you how to select foods. I will give you step-by-step instructions of how to build your plate, what your plate should look like, what your day should look like, what your cabinets, what your refrigerator should look like, what your kids' diet should look like, what your fitness protocol should look like. I go through all of it with you. I want to know about your sleep habits. I want to know about your eating habits, your work. Are you stressed? How's your relationship? What's your relationship with your kids like? This is a custom nutrition plan. You're not getting a printed out PDF from me that I give to everybody. It doesn't work that way. It simply doesn't. It boggles my mind how many people are willing to pay big money to go torture themselves at a gym and be just yet again another fat CrossFitter. It drives me nuts. CrossFit results are terrible. Most gym results are terrible because people don't get the nutrition side of things. I'm just going to go work out. I'm not going to pay that guy $27 a month to learn about nutrition. It's just crazy, right? So anyway, yeah, I'm a terrible salesperson, but I change the lives of the people that come to me, and that makes me happy. I don't care if there's only 500 of them over all of time. I'm super happy with that. I don't need millions of people. I want the people who want to change. Not everybody is Clovis. That's all there is to it. Many of you are Clovis. and you're kicking ass every day, and your kids are going to kick ass. These are transgenerational benefits. Your kids, your grandkids. There's going to be a lot more of your lineage hanging around 300 years from now, switching to Clovis. It's that serious. No other way to put it, guys. It's the single best nutrition plan on planet Earth, period. And I've seen all of them. I assure you. What else we got? Grabbing my Paleo Valley beef sticks. Yes, absolutely. They are wonderful. Love that company. I think I have wrappers. There's Paleo Valley wrappers laying all over this floor as I work on the computer. Wonderful. What else we got? It's scary what's out there. If you're watching the ingredients, it does cut the junk out of your shopping cart pretty quickly. It's just better eating at home. Yeah, and the age-old thing they talk about, the cliche of just only doing the outer perimeter of the grocery store, everything in every aisle in the grocery store, in the middle aisles, is going to have corn or soy or wheat or hydrogenated oils or sugar. It's just all there is to it, with the exception of the international aisle. You can get some cool stuff in there, right? Asian foods and Mexican foods. Is there a deal in the works for members to get a discount with Wild Pastures? Why you gotta ask these things live? I'll tell you if that happens. Don't worry. But yeah, there's always stuff going on behind the scenes. I landed 4 more discounts for you guys. Lifetime discounts. So if you're a member of I Am Clovis, you get product discounts. Member of Clovis Academy, you don't get that. That's exclusively for I Am Clovis members, and I'm talking lifetime discounts. Like, you get a lifetime discount to Paleo Valley forever as long as you were an I Am Clovis member. You now get a lifetime discount to Just Thrive Probiotic as long as you were a member. On It Academy and On It Supplements as long as you were a member. Siltep as long as you were a member. All these, Julian Bakery as long as you were a member. I'm literally giving you lifetime discounts. You make one purchase of a couple of these brands a month and you pay for your own membership. That's it. So this is a game changer, guys. I mean, I can't talk up the excellence of I Am Clovis enough. It's my program. I designed it, and it helps because I didn't get into this game for money. I've told you guys that before. I'm a lifelong musician. I did all right. I got some investments, doing okay, right? I don't do this for the money, but I need money to make this sustainable and to make it grow, to spread this word, get more people into Clovis, and change lives for the better forever. Transgenerational changes the lives of kids, your grandkids, the entire household. We need to do this. Stop making excuses. Stop. If you are someone who makes excuses, don't buy a plan from me, because you're not going to like working with me. Many of these people know here that they love me now, but in the beginning, it was just kind of like, oh boy, he is no bullshit at all. And I just gave him 3 excuses and he shut all of them down in a single sentence. That's what our email exchanges look like. I'm trying to change your life, and there is no room for excuses in changing your life, period. Be serious about it or find a different program. That's it. What else we got? It's Lovely's fault. Her beef stick comment made me think about Wild Pastures. Yeah, Wild Pastures is awesome. It's just not quite where it needs to be yet. So just sit back, chill. There's still Butcher Box for now. You get a discount on Butcher Box, being an I Am Clovis member as well. That's the thing, guys. There's so, I mean, Biome Health, you get a discount there. What else we have? Kiss My Keto. I mean, it's insane. I got probably 13 to 14 brands for you guys that you get lifetime discounts on just being a member of I Am Clovis. It's insane, right? Get in there and do it. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense not to. Not to mention the ambassador program. You share it with your friends. They sign up. You get a 20% commission on them signing up. Not a pyramid scheme, not MLM. That's it. There's no people under you. There's no pyramid aspect to it. It's just a reason to share with your friends, right? And your friends, if your friends sign up and they're friends of yours, why would they not want to give you a commission? Sign up to your ambassador link. But you can only be an ambassador by being an I Am Clovis member. Super important, guys. It's a no-brainer. Thanks for introducing Butcher Box. That bacon is the best thing on earth. Yeah, dude. So bacon is a whole different ball game. Like store-bought bacon versus like for real, legit pasture-raised bacon, way different. Oh yeah, Kettle and Fire. You get 15% off Kettle and Fire, right? Crazy. Bone broth. They're my favorite bone broth brand. I love them. I love making bone broth, but it's a pain in the ass, and I'm a busy guy, right? So I love Kettle and Fire. Kettle and Fire is fantastic, and I get you guys a 15% discount on bone broth through I Am Clovis. You need to be a member, everybody. That's it. And all you have to do is go to iamclovis.com/start. iamclovis.com/start. Sign up. You get a free 7-day trial. You get to see everything I have to offer, including the approved foods list with no hydrogenated oils in it. Sign up for the free trial and see the approved foods list. Go from there. Watch my educational videos. Get my whole reading list, my podcast list. Get my instructional fitness videos. Get my favorite fitness protocols on planet Earth. Unbelievable. And I'm updating these things all the time. I just added a food for thought section, which are all my favorite articles on cutting edge science. I've been doing a lot of research into anti-aging lately, and it's fantastic, right? From guys like Peter Attia, David Sinclair, which is just on the Joe Rogan podcast. These are guys I've been following for years, right? Now they're coming into the mainstream. You want to talk about anti-aging? Let's talk about anti-aging. You can email me directly from I Am Clovis, ask me questions, ask me AMA questions. It's unreal. And you get access to the I Am Clovis private Facebook group where people get way down in the deep nitty gritty. Clovis Academy is general conversation. I Am Clovis is the nitty gritty of help me with my plan. How did you do X? How did you do Y? Hey, ladies, I'm having trouble hitting my fat macros. What do you do to eat fat macros? What do you do to raise your kids? What are you feeding your kids? Back and forth. Amazing conversations and dialogues in these groups. It's unbelievable. So there's just simply no reason not to sign up. There really isn't. Because the second you sign up, I promise you, I will protect your life like it is my life. I will protect the lives of your children like they are my lives, my children's lives. That's the difference between Clovis. You deal directly with me. That's it. Message Clovis Culture on Facebook. That's me. Email me, justin@iamclovis.com. That's me. Email support@iamclovis.com. That's me. Direct message me on Instagram @the Clovis Culture. That's me. That's it, guys. This is my company. I love it. This is my passion. I do this to make you healthy. I do this for you. So go ahead and sign up. Come work with me. I guarantee you the best health you have ever experienced in your life. With compliance, I have a 100% success rate. Not a single person that hasn't gotten results. It has never happened, period. I just don't know of any other nutrition protocols that can say that. So come on in, jump in. What we got? My fiance was just listening to Joe Rogan in the anti-aging episode. I told him he should listen to you. Yeah, he totally should, because the anti-aging episode of Joe Rogan was a little bit tricky because here's what's going to happen. People are going to run out and buy resveratrol. People are going to run out and buy NMN, and they're going to buy NAD, and they're going to get intravenous NAD, which actually hasn't been proven to do anything. NAD isn't even absorbed by the cells. NAD plus isn't even absorbed by the cells. Something like NMN or NR can be absorbed by the cells in a better way. So things like rapamycin, metformin, you need a prescription for it unless you know a diabetic. Literally, diabetics get metformin like candy, so you can just get metformin from a diabetic if you have one in your family, right? But it's really hairy because people that know nothing about fitness, nutrition, nothing, they hear these anti-aging episodes, they're going to go spend, again, they're going to spend $100 a month on supplements. I'm going to buy NMN, and I'm going to buy NR, and I'm going to buy resveratrol, and I'm going to continue to eat baked pastries and whole wheat bagels, right? Guess what? You're not living a long time. It's just not going to happen, right? So you need to get the foundations of health down first. That's the only thing that I find a little bit tricky with these anti-aging episodes. And I can't get people to listen to, like, David Sinclair's episode with Peter Attia is a much better episode because these are two doctors describing these things, experts in biochemistry, who are describing how this anti-aging stuff works. So listen to the Peter Attia Drive with David Sinclair, but it's going to make your eyeballs gloss over, right? I love those episodes. Those are my favorite episodes. Rhonda Patrick, Dr. Peter Attia, David Sinclair. I love listening to this nerdy stuff. I want to know what happens inside of the cell. But most people can't go there. They just don't have the foundational knowledge. So come into Clovis first, get the foundation taken care of. Listen to my human metabolism. My Basics of Human Metabolism is one of the best podcast episodes that's ever existed, in my opinion. Listen to my episode with Rob Wolf. It's fantastic. Look at Shannon. I listened to your podcast with Steph Gaudreau today. So good. For everyone here, I highly recommend listening to her podcast too. Yeah, she has Harder to Kill Radio. She's a total badass. And, you know, she's even a little more lenient than I am. She is super, super soft on people. You know, she wants you to get up and go to the gym. She's very fitness oriented. I'm less fitness oriented than she is with my clients. I'm fitness oriented as a person, but fitness has nothing to do with fat loss. We know that biochemically. That's just true. But she's very, very, very empowering, very self-love. She's okay with you guys cheating and doing crappy foods. I'm not. That's cool. We're two different people. I love her. She's wonderful. Her content's fantastic. She's got a potty mouth, sailor mouth like I do, and I love that. She trains jujitsu. She's a CrossFit badass. Like, definitely check out Steph Gaudreau's work. She's amazing. And that's Harder to Kill Radio. You will like her. Our kids have been paleo for almost 2 months. Cutting it even further to become Clovis over the last 2 weeks was even better. Truly clean eating without the paleo excuses. Yes, that's what drives me nuts about paleo. And I remember your email, Justin. It's just the idea of, you have paleo foods and non-paleo foods. If it's a paleo food, you can eat as much of it as you want. So you can feed your kids cashews and almond butter and bananas all day long, right? That's horrible. You're going to give your kid type 2 diabetes. Stop it. Right? So that's the thing, is this whole paleo thing is really, really tricky. Paleo almost got it right, but they didn't take into account that everybody was going to run around and make paleo-friendly bullshit foods, right? Oh, I can use all these ingredients are paleo, so if I make a paleo coconut banana muffin with 15 tablespoons of maple syrup and agave nectar, that's still paleo. I can eat as much as I want, right? That's what drives me nuts about paleo. It's a real big problem. Paleo desserts and all that stuff. And it's crazy. It's just the same thing with babies. Like people only serve babies fruit. They're like, oh, my kid's switching solid food. So I puree strawberries and bananas and kiwis and mangoes and blueberries. And I puree it and give it. You're feeding your kid a 100% sugar diet. Can you please stop? Puree some meat. What are you afraid of? Puree some meat. Puree some meat and some avocado and maybe one strawberry to make it sweet and give it to the kid. Boom. There you go. What are you doing? We need a balance of macronutrient ratios. Babies need the same things that you do, right? Unbelievable. All right, so what else we got? Any other questions? If not, we'll shut this thing down. It's 10:15. I got an appointment at 11 a.m., which is not too far away, so I'll make it there, no problem. I'm going to go do some holotropic breath work. Very crazy. It drives me crazy, the sugar-free recipes I see that have maple syrup and honey listed. Yeah, so, oh, it's crazy. I mean, I was walking around Chiang Mai. I got a smoothie yesterday. I'm going to post it on Instagram. But I got a smoothie, and it was literally half a banana. It was on a street side, a little street shop, right? Half a banana, a giant freaking dinosaur egg avocado, and water and ice and a little bit of ginger that made it like have a kick to it. So all the people I was with, they take a sip of it. They're like, that's gross, dude, because it's not sweet enough. To me, it's like candy. Half a banana is like a candy to me. But even there, all of their signs say no sugar. Get a smoothie, no sugar. Not only that, it says no sugar. And I was watching them make the smoothies. They put the banana in, the avocado. People are doing strawberries, mango, coconut milk, almond milk. And then they're scooping brown sugar into the smoothie. The signs literally say no sugar. Like, we have a different definition of sugar, apparently. And so I told them specifically, no sugar. Do not put sugar in there. And they're like, looking at it like, really? No sugar? And I'm like, no. And then I drink it. And I'm like, this is like candy. I let other people try it. And they're like, oh, dude, mine's way better. Yeah, because they put scoops full of sugar in your thing. Fruit is pure sugar, everybody. What are you doing? What do you mean no sugar? It's insane. This natural sugar idea. It's complete horse shit. It's terrible. All right. I think that's it, everybody. So I'm going to go do some holotropic breath work and trip out and go to different dimensions and stuff. That'd be cool. I've seen several dimensions this week. It's been interesting. And then I'm going to go do some acupuncture. And then I have a meetup with some other digital nomads, a millennial men's group for high achievers and type A's like myself, influencers and marketers and blah, blah, blah. The people that just can't stop working. Want to share more about where you are. Don't know the place you're talking about. Guessing another country. I'm in Chiang Mai, Thailand right now, and it's beautiful. I have a service apartment. I've been here for just over 2 weeks now. And well, let me think. No, this is the third. Yeah, just about 2 weeks, because I got here like the day before my first AMA. I've done 3 AMAs from Chiang Mai. So I'm in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and about an hour flight away from Bangkok, which is like the main major city. And I was just down in Pai, which was a 3-hour drive up into the mountains. So you can follow me. Actually, if you go to Instagram, you can see that in there. So just at Justin Nault is my Instagram handle, and you can see I'll share that dinosaur egg avocado that I ate. That was amazing. So yeah, I've just been traveling around, doing some extended travel. I'm gone for at least a month. I don't know when I'm coming back yet, but this food issue is really playing a big role in things. So I'm going to see when I'm going to shut this trip down. But anyway, yeah, in Chiang Mai, Thailand, and was in Pai. Pai was just absolutely astonishing and beautiful. I loved it there. I will be in Rayleigh Beach in Krabi on February 7th. That will be great. I'll be watching the Super Bowl at 7 a.m. That will be fun. My dad's going to the Super Bowl, everybody. Can you believe it? Like, the biggest Patriots fan I know, and he's going to the Super Bowl. That's pretty unbelievable. But anyway, yeah, just in Chiang Mai, Thailand, making everything work, doing the digital nomad thing. Got internet here in my apartment. It's beautiful. My apartment was $300 for an entire month. My internet was $15 to put a router into my apartment. Pretty unbelievable. So anyway, so that's my sister, Kristen. Stay. I like the house to myself. I'm sure you do. Enjoy it. Keep it clean. When I get home, there better not be any problems. All right, that's it. So shared some stuff about Chiang Mai, the oil. I really love that this conversation happened. It's super important. And yeah, it made a lot of sense. And people were confused. They're just like, dude, you're talking about being at a caloric deficit out there and then telling us that all the meals are less than $2. Why don't you just eat more? Right? And it seemed perfectly reasonable, but this is why. I'm really, really concerned about what I'm doing to my body out here. So anyway, can someone not send you a care package? Yeah, they could. I brought a ton of stuff with me. So obviously I have my paleo powder fat loss every day. I bought some MCT oil out here. I have Paleo Valley grass-fed beef sticks, the travel tips to Thailand. I did all the supplements and everything. You saw that. I'm taking Paleo Valley's grass-fed organ complex, their Essential C. I'm taking my Healthy Cell Pro. I've got my nootropics out here. I'm taking just all sorts of everything, omega-3s with me, all the good stuff. So taking care of the micronutrient side of things to really help things out. But yeah, Dad, going to the Super Bowl, it's insane, man. So crazy. But anyway, yeah, so I got it figured out the best I can. And it's a short-term trip, even though it's a long trip. It's, you know, we'll see what goes on. And I'll get right back to it when I get home. Everything will be perfect. You guys know me. I will be back to crushing all aspects of health as soon as I get home. So anyway, this has been AMA number 56, Oil, the Hidden Assassin. I hope you guys learned a lot. Give me some feedback. Let me know. This will come out as a podcast, the Perfect Paleo Podcast. You know what? Let me take a second here and share the link for the Perfect Paleo Podcast, because it's very important, because for some reason I can't get iTunes to take down the old podcast. It's really driving me crazy. I had an old podcast and I've been asking them for 3 or 4 months to take it down, and they have not done it. And it's really, really bothering me. So I'm going to share the link right here and ask you guys to subscribe to this podcast, and please leave me a review. That would be wonderful. So here is the iTunes link. Subscribe to that podcast. You can also go to clovis.show. And let's see, Clovis. Yeah, I know, Liz. I'm having trouble getting rid of it. Clovis.show. You can go there as well. Go to Clovis.show and see everything that you need to see about the podcast. It is beautiful. How many supplements do I take daily? A boatload. Probably 40 pills. Maybe 40 pills a day. Yeah, I think it's about 40. Something like that. I've gone through phases. I've taken 60 pills a day, which is just a little bit ridiculous. But again, people are always like, well, if you're so healthy, why do you need all these supplements to be healthy? I don't take supplements to be healthy. I take supplements to be just a Nault. That's why I take supplements, right? I take supplements to deadlift 450 pounds and use my brain like this every single day and research biochemistry for hours at a time and travel the world and teach you guys what you need to know and read 4 books at a time and record podcasts and do all the things that I do, right? I take supplements to be me, not to be healthy. It's a whole different ballgame, right? So does everybody need to be taking 40 pills a day? I could argue, yes, particularly people who don't have a good diet and are not hitting all those foundational key elements of health, right? They probably need it even more than I do. But yeah, so probably about 40 pills. I could swallow 30 pills at a time. It's crazy. I did a video of it once, just this giant handful of pills. It's crazy. Just used to it, right? Always optimizing. I optimize. I get other people healthy, and then you have to get healthy first before you can ever start optimizing. So I am in a phase where I optimize my life, right? The basic aspects of health are all covered astronomically well. So that's it. I just try to be a superhuman. Get it? Got it? Good. Yes, I love supplements, but you love supplements more now, Miranda, because you know about the nutrition side of things, and that supplements by themselves are useless. Remember that. Get the foundations down first. It's the same thing I just talked about this anti-aging episode with David Sinclair and Joe Rogan. You can't go out and get NMN and NAD and resveratrol and think you're going to live forever. Not going to happen. Simply not going to happen. Shelly, I already did this. You go to Clovis.show, please. That's why Clovis.show exists. Go to Clovis.show. Because even if I name them, I'm gonna have to write them down for you. I don't have links for you here. The entire supplement list is there. So go to Clovis.show and then click the AMA number 55, no, number 54, I think is travel tips from Thailand. Just search supplements, search Thailand, use the search feature. I want you guys to use that search feature. Just type in supplements, type in Thailand, type in travel tips, whatever. And it's literally just a full list of supplements is all there with clickable links to go get them. That's much easier than me just saying them to you here because you're not going to remember. So 40 supplements makes you go super fast like this. You seem so clear-minded. I'm always clear-minded. Literally, I never have brain fog, right? Guys, I slept 5 hours last night. Okay? I slept 5 hours last night. I'm probably operating at 60 or 70% of what I should be. This is probably 60 to 70% brain power. The lights hurt my eyes a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit weird, but I'm always going to be this sharp. That's the difference, right? Because where you guys are, I was years and years and years ago, and I've studied tremendously hard, and I've biohacked and done everything you can think of under the sun to get to this point, right? So I am what's considered optimized at this point. It takes some time to get here. Yeah, for sure. But this is me on like, God, just barely over half speed. It sucks that I got 5 hours of sleep last night because I wanted to train jujitsu today, but I won't train jujitsu on less than 6 hours of sleep because the risk of injury is too high. So just little things like that you got to learn, right? Thankful for what you were teaching. Thank you. You're very welcome. I love teaching this stuff. Love the organ complex, sugar craving way down. Yes. Okay. So a lot of times cravings are telling your body that you need something. So you might think that you need sugar. You have a craving for carbohydrates or something. It just means that you're not getting enough micronutrients. So your body's telling you to eat, right? Get enough micronutrients. That's a fantastic multivitamin, is that organ complex. So anyway, yeah, go check out clovis.show, travel tips from Thailand, and you can see my entire supplement list, the whole thing with clickable links to go buy it. Okay. Also go to iamclovis.com/start, iamclovis.com/start, jump in with a custom plan. Let me change your life and the lives of your families, your loved one. All right. This has been Oil, the Hidden Assassin. Ask Me Anything, number 56. Live from Chiang Mai, Thailand. All right, I'm out of here, guys. I got a busy day, and I'll share some stuff on Instagram. Go follow me on Instagram and see all the cool stuff about Chiang Mai, Thailand. Okay? Bye, guys. I love you. Bye.